イクが小さいよってなんか連絡来ましたけど大丈夫ですか？どんな感じですか？スピーカーがじゃあマイクつけましょうか。そう3.5ありますね。マイクはフォンから刺すやつか。マイクなんですけど、なんだっけ、3.5 ミリで、ミキサーもいります？ミキサーいらない？これだけで大丈夫。OK です。普通に3.5か。じゃあ、これでいいですか。じゃあ、これも作業。いや、大丈夫です。これですよね。OK、大丈夫。じゃあ、ここにしましょう。大丈夫。モニターしました。ありがとうございます。
Okay. Well, it missed the talking bit anyway. Sorry. Should have set it up first. Hopefully everyone on the stream can hear. If not, should have come. Anyway. 設定が変ですね。内蔵マイクオフにしたらストリームできなくなる。内蔵マイクオンにしてこれ 3.5mm で挿して大丈夫。
LINE も内蔵マイク扱い。
そういうことね。
強制的に上書きされるんです。
音量のマイク機能絶対よくいいですよ。
そう。だからローカライゼーションが間違ってる
かもね。Let me see if I can find this stream. Where is it? Yeah, so on the preview it looks like this, but when you actually go onto it,
that's cool.
when you go onto it on YouTube, you can steer.
Oh, really?
Or not, because we haven't set it up as a 360 stream. Anyway, ちょっと設定間違ってる気がする。360 video. Oh no! Never mind, I'm leaving it now. Do something else. You can see that there are people here in Madrid. It's good enough. Oh, I see. Oh, Marco, okay. Plug in and just fiddle around with CSS for a while.
You said that you were doing sort of a bit of everything at Shopify. What languages do you write in?
So my companies we use in English, but I mainly deal with Japanese. Sometimes, for example,
What programming language is that?
React, TypeScript, serverless framework, something like this thing.
Oh, nice.
I have to study.
Well, we all have to keep up with so many new things every time. Right?
Yeah, React changes so fast.
Yeah.
React is totally different to the last time I used it.
Yeah, we're updating our hooks right now. Yeah.
Difficult. I think I need more developing experience.
I feel like I need more time.
Yeah, so we are finding that some person, we are finding that workers too. So someone who do like that things.
Yeah, I think everyone's having trouble finding the staff, aren't they?
Yeah, stuff here.
I'm trying to find staff for here. So actually,
For what?
front desk and other things like maybe kind of writing Twitter post kind of stuff. Not the most incredible thing, but you just don't have that many people in somewhere.
Then the right person can really make a big difference.
And I just have so little time these days to do everything. I do more like
Yeah, but my English quite beginner, base Japanese English. But my work is mainly Google Meet or some Discord or something. It's all subtitled.
Oh.
So
Do you find that helpful?
yeah, because if there's a word that I don't know, I can Google immediately.
Right. That's nice.
Yeah, but if it's real-time, face-to-face English work environment, it's quite.
Sometimes different people speak at quite different speeds, and
Yeah.
I'm getting used to my work at QDI where there's lots of different people from lots of different countries, and I kind of forget which language we normally speak in, and keeping up with that can be hard.
Yeah.
See if we can make this look pretty.
What was the framework you said? Pico?
Pico CSS. I saw a post about it today and it looked kind of cool, and I thought I'll give it a try. I think it's just like a classless, simple framework. But if I can drop it in and get my things to look better. I mean, right now they're probably not even compliant.
Well, I think
HTML,
that's the...
because I've just been focusing on the back end. So.
Oh, there's...
Pretty easy to make like a template in Django and then just pop everything into it. At least you're compliant HTML when you do that.
I can't stand
You can't stand it?
the Django. It drives me crazy.
What about it?
Oh, designing around it. Like, it's just so inflexible. It's so...
It has a particular way of doing things.
Yeah, and if you want any kind of modification, I find it extremely challenging.
Probably I'm sure a lot of people do like a Django API and then front end in some popular front end framework.
Yeah, like that's what we're doing now. But like having the front and back completely separate is, I don't know. So
You need to design your interface well.
Yeah.
And that can be hard.
Oh my gosh, but yeah, it's just a disaster for us. When I Googled Pico CSS, this is the first thing I found.
PICO.
P-I-C-O.
It's in very, very small. I don't know how popular it is. I'll send a link in. I just need to. I forgot to send something, so I just reply to emails, which is my life.
That's so funny. Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, give it a try. Do you have any kind of thoughts on like the asset pipeline and things like that, and how you prepare assets, or do you not think about it too much?
Like right now we're trying to get design tokens implemented so that we'll sort of meet there.
What's a design token?
It's where like design and asset come together. So like it's how you can sort of start, like designers don't think about assets very often.
Right.
and developers don't think about components the way I do, like in Figma. Like they're different from React components. So a design token is sort of like a colors, typography. It could be a button. It could be like a component, like a React component, and that's like a module even, and that's how you can sort of talk about things in the same way.
Oh, nice.
Figma is going to do release for design tokens in 2022, and everyone's very excited.
Good
I
stuff.
think it'll make things a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the end goal, isn't it, for all of us? Just trying to find ways to get the work done and organize things easily. Okay, tidy up that email.
So sad to miss the Adobe Illustrator night that was here a while ago.
Oh, yeah, that looked kind of fun.
I'm so bad at Illustrator.
That's, I mean, showing my lack of knowledge, that's the one we have on the laser cutter machine, right?
Yes,
Where you
it
print
is.
stuff from it, Illustrator. So what's the big difference between Illustrator and Figma? Everything. I'll do that.
The big difference between Illustrator and Figma is Figma is a UI UX tool that you can do illustration with. And Illustrator is an illustration tool that you could do UI UX with. Like there's, like I am a Figma addict, and I started doing all of the logos in Figma, but there's anything that you can do in Figma is just like the tip of the iceberg compared to Illustrator. Like the learning curve is a lot steeper, and I'm having like a lot of issues with it. But yeah, but it depends on your use case. Like for UI UX stuff, like when I show people that have been using XD or Illustrator, what you can do in Figma, like they're just blown away.
It's just really easy to use, really quick.
It's so easy. It's so fast. It's so flexible. I love it. Because now, yeah, I've been thinking that there's got to be an easier way to do what I'm trying to do.
I hate that feeling. It happens so much, like, I must be doing this the wrong way.
This is the worst way.
But I don't know what the keyword is.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. And I think one of the hard problems with Illustrator is that it's been so hugely popular for so long that like there's so many tutorials. But so you go and find a tutorial that's perfect, but it's 5 versions behind, so you can't actually do the same thing anymore. And everyone has a different setup. Like the computer downstairs is a completely different setup from mine.
Yeah, it's probably like a bit of an old version.
Oh, it's just like there's like 8 different like default setups anyway, so you could be on the same version with a completely different setup.
Let's see if my genius plan to use Pico works. No. Oh, okay, well that's my silly font.
I would assume that all little like out of the box CSS platforms would have it. The first thing I would always do is run anything that you're going to be doing through oh my gosh, what's it called? Like the WAG requirements to make sure that it meets existing order standards.
That actually came up today, and we were making a paper for a journal. One of the diagrams, I looked at it and thought, that's going to be hard to see with color blindness. And I ran it through like a colorblind filter. Everything looked the same. Like it was so hard to...
Well, it's just amazing. Like even, I found this really cool thing.
What was the thing you mentioned? WAG.
Yeah, there's 2, and the new one is like just in the middle.
What does it stand for?
Website accessibility guidelines. That's a guess.
I searched for WAG and I got a dog walker. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. WCAG maybe? Or CAG?
Yeah, there's one that's just coming out now. And so like the first thing, because I think like a lot of people doing design will get really married to like a color palette, and then when they're building out their UI kit and putting like the font color on the background, button color, you've already decided all these color combos, and it's like, oh, this really doesn't work. No one can see it. Like, if you're on Internet Explorer, it doesn't look the same.
Template does not exist. But it does.
Brainy さん
Brian.
ブライアンさん
Brian.
ブリアンさん Well, we said that basically if you implement design by Figma and programmer use Figma API, how is workflow?
Oh, that's something that I think about a
I feel like we should have done like a big monitor somewhere we could all cast to, but if you want to just twizzle yours around.
So this is a bad example of one.
Is this Figma?
This Figma, what's something that we've actually
なんだこれ
this is my design system. So, like for this, for example, okay, this is an okay example. Like, so this is how I want every single drop down to look in the entire platform. So I give them all this, and then they can play it, so they can see the interactivity. So like I want everything. When you hover, I want it to do this. When you click, I want it to do this.
すごい
And so I give them this, and then through there, it looks a little bit different for them. They can see all of the CSS over here. So yeah, I never use those. But yeah, there's the CSS iOS and Android. And then for everything, they can just go ahead and copy paste the CSS. And if it's more classy than that, so like I have all like these are some of my design tokens. Like we're all on the same colors, so in the Sass files that they've written in React, we're using the same.
React and what you said?
Sass.
Oh.
So instead of like saying like, oh, please use color E5, 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 just use Leo dark. And it's the color is a variable in the CSS. It's a lot faster. I'm like I love CSS, but Sass is I think so much better, especially if you're doing anything that scales. It's like I would give them this, and then I also was really nice. And I gave them.
Magic.
So then I made like this huge document for like the PMs and stuff so that we like know everything that's going to happen. For all of this. I'm a really nice designer. And then I also made the zero height style guide for. So like this is every instance of every button that we'll ever have in the platform.
That's pretty nice.
I know, I'm really nice. And then I've inputted so they could just copy paste all of the React. And then I have different use cases. Like this is a call to action button. This is an obtain the info button. And so then I implemented with my local developers. So these are all live storybook components.
Live?
They're
Live.
yeah, they're live storybook. Yeah, so this is all live previous. How can I get in there? It's all connected with. So this is what. So yeah. Oopsies. All of like these ones are the live previews. So like in production, this is what it looks like. Because this is So this is the React library that the developers use.
はいはいはい。
So they just go in and just copy paste these into their code. So it's really fast. And then we can design QA this. So if they were ever to make a change, I would get a notification, like a Bitbucket pull request notification saying like, hey, they're going to change this button.
なるほど。
So like this is, because like I want everything to be the same, and I really, like I mean it. So I made like I wouldn't do this for everything. Because like if they want, they could, like depending on what's easier for them, they could find all that here. But if they wanted us to do a bunch of copy paste.
Can you show us the React component that Figma generates again?
Figma doesn't generate React.
Oh, I thought, what does Figma generate? Just
I
CSS?
think just CSS. Honestly, I never use it.
But you made the React component for the developers?
I didn't make a React component.
Okay.
I made a component.
Sure. I see.
Yeah, so this is all the stuff.
Sorry. I need glasses.
It's mainly just like a display flex.
Oh, okay,
flex
yeah.
structure,
Oh,
like
just
display
some CSS.
functions. Yeah, it's just a CSS.
So the stuff that you were showing before with the React components for copy and pasting, was that put together by some front-end engineer?
No, that was me.
I thought you said it didn't make.
Figma doesn't do that.
So you made the React
Yeah,
component.
so I don't know how to use a mouse.
Okay. I think I get the workflow.
Yeah, like all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Oh.
this is the operation one.
So can you just go up a little? Oh, I see.
It's hard to do it like sideways.
I see. I just wanted to see this.
I think if I go into
Oh.
the other version of it, then I can edit it and I can show you easier.
Yeah, I was just curious about the kind of, what am I saying, level of abstraction in making these buttons. And
It's really, for me, it's quite easy.
yeah.
Button. So then I could go in here, and there we go. Yeah, this is easier.
Can you make it bigger? Can you do like just Control or Command plus scroll wheel makes things bigger? Or Control Shift plus. I think. Sorry, Command Shift. On Mac, yeah. That's what I do all the time. So I can't see anything. Yeah. Oh, so this is CSS from Figma and then the React component and the props and all that stuff is up there.
Yeah, and so then
Oh, nice.
it's really hard to do this sideways. So then this is I take this link from Chromatic, and that's like where all the React components are actually stored. I paste it into here. Yeah, this is Chromatic. So yeah, this is all the live components that we have. And so now, like my goal for this is to create all of these into components. Because now, like, obviously, our developers are, like, when we need to make a new module, component, or like whatever, like they're using some bits and pieces of different libraries, and so everything has a little different look or a little different behavior. So we're going to unify everything so that, like, they never have to make anything ever again. Like, they can just focus on what they're doing, and they're never going to have to style anything ever again.
Yeah. So I really like having this design kind of all here so you can see it. My one concern would be, like, if you make it really easy to, all the React components and copy and paste, all that stuff, you're going to get some copy and paste cowboy, like copying stuff a little bit, tweaking it a little bit, and then putting it in.
We haven't.
I mean, maybe your organization is good enough to avoid that. So.
I don't think we're good enough to avoid that at all. I think maybe the devs are just lazy.
Yeah, I mean,
and,
it could be.
And they just don't want to deal with it.
I don't think there's any technical solution to that problem. It's just like,
yeah.
I could see people using it in that way.
Yeah, luckily, I have a really good relationship with this dev in particular, and like I just have running tickets, like every single sprint, like I throw a ticket that I find like mistakes with the design system, and he just goes and like routinely fixes all of it, like, because I think like we've got 2 full stack devs, but we don't have a dedicated front end dev.
Sure.
I think that generally for like the teams that I work with, like they don't find pixel pushing that exciting.
Yeah.
So
It's like me.
yeah, so they're pretty happy to just
Yeah, yeah.
throw it in.
Yeah, sure.
But I think yeah, like 'cause there is always room to like do things differently.
Oh yeah, not a criticism. I'm just
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
worried,
sure.
worried someone might do that. But cool. It's really, really nice. Really neat.
But then like a different example of Figma for like user flows.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good example. Like history or dashboard. Announcement board. This is one that we finished recently. Oh, this is a really bad example of how I do things. This is a bad example. But like this is all of the pages involved in a new feature that we added. So I've got everything here, and then like they can zoom in and see like what should happen. But then I've got all this like floating stuff, so they have to put it into present mode. And this is for developers or stakeholders, or like anyone that you want to give a presentation to.
すごい。
So then I've made it all into. I broke a bunch of stuff, so it doesn't look very good. But like you can just click through how you
あ、すごい。
want
So this is
to-
completely made in Figma.
This is all in Figma.
すごい。
And it's like, oh, I want.
This is great for like a paper prototype.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like-
this is way beyond paper prototype.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, this is great for having something to click through and
Yeah.
show, and you can, you could user test it.
Well, yeah, that's the name of the game. And so then you go
That's really
in.
cool. How'd you make it? I want to know how to make all these.
It took me a long time.
So, like, the process of, are you like drawing out all these forms, or are you kind of using some like form builder in Figma, or how do you make just a little bit of this?
I was lazy and I just used the pencil tool and wrote mod. And
I don't know what pencil tool is.
what's the first thing I would do? The laziest, but then let's not be lazy. You start with a frame, so hit the F button, or take a frame up here, and drag it across, and then you put whatever you want in.
I feel like you've done draw the owl. Draw a circle. Now
Yeah.
draw the owl.
Like for me, what I would do, because I've built a design system,
Yeah.
I can't see that far away either.
The design system is the series of buttons.
Design series is a system
style.
of every single thing.
Style.
Like,
Right.
oopsies.
So like the style and the colors and this is a design system, right? Yeah. I just want to be using the
This
right
is my
words.
design system.
Okay, so major colors like secondary color. all
Colors,
that stuff.
typography, icons, logos, modules, cards, tables, pop-ups, hovers, other cards, drop-downs, 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 drop-downs.
Sorry, what's the difference of components and modules?
Modules are made out of components.
Oh,
So put together the components, you
Yeah.
get modules.
ああ、な
Yeah,
るほ
so
ど。
like
はいはい
here's like a component,
はいはいはい。
component,
なるほど。
module.
いえ、OK, thank you.
So if I was to go create stuff, I would just start drag and dropping from, oh, where is it? I've got my button here, and if I want, this is my primary button, but if I want a secondary, I would just switch to this. This is the outline one.
すごい。
But if I didn't have the design system, then I would just play around and start adding things. And be like, this is button. That I think I like. Can't see anything. yeah, you can play around in Figma for ever.
I see. But how do you make some animation or some movements? So if we click something show up, is it?
That is done. Where am I? So then that's in the, so most everything I do is in the design tab. But then for animation and the activity, I go into the prototype tab.
Oh,
and so everything I start here. So, for example, when I'm here, so when I'm like I chose like while hovering, change to this one. And then this is the animation that I chose. So this is, I chose dissolve ease in at 100 milliseconds. But I could change it to smart animate. That's going to look weird. Oh, actually that's cuter. Maybe I'll keep it. But yeah, so you would start really, really small.
Yeah.
And then my computer really hates these monitors. I love them.
And they're really easy on the eye, aren't they?
Yeah.
I noticed like an eye strain has been through the roof.
So these are all of my animations and interactions. And so like all of these are my hovers, these are my drop downs, so I can access them anywhere. So yeah, it really, like all the developers I work with right now, this is their first time using Figma, and they say like it really, like now they don't have to make design decisions, think about it, worry about it. If I've done my job well, they don't have any questions.
Yeah, I've just ordered some homepage design by Figma, but never like this application
Oh yeah.
order. But I didn't know how, like this everything you could do by only in Figma.
It's amazing. I would really recommend to learn new things. There was the Figma Prototype Challenge, and it was really wonderful. Like, because I do a lot of the same thing all the time, but this really like made me learn a lot of new things.
Oh, そうなんだ.
And there's only 15 of them, so like, it was really fun.
Oh, I see.
So this is like a kind of fairly basic intro to Figma. Bit more than
I
that
wouldn't
maybe?
say, yeah.
Okay.
Like I think.
So maybe this is the thing you do after you do the basic intro to Figma.
Yeah, some of these were the hardest things that I've done in Figma.
Oh, okay.
The I can't say the word. Parallax was the hardest thing I've done in Figma, I think.
Parallax.
Oh, like.
Yeah, I think so.
Classic with old video games. Oh, doesn't my stuff look as nice as they say it should?
It never does.
I'm halfway through this CSS thing and I'm not sure I've got it. Give it up.
Oh, すごい.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's only Figma.
Oh, なるほど。それもできるんだ。
And these are like CSS animations it generates, so what comes out of it? How do you put it on the internet? What is it making?
I don't understand the question.
This is no using JavaScript, right?
No, this is only Figma.
But is it
It's
CSS?
not even CSS. It's just
But like,
this is all it is.
but surely you can turn this into something.
You could, yeah, you could export it. You could save it as video. You could export it.
Oh,
I
okay. Do
don't-
people use it for that kind of thing?
I don't. I think generally these files are too big. I think that would make your site pretty heavy. I think
Yeah,
what a
I
lot
don't
of people
think-
are doing now is Lottie.
What's that?
That's what I want to use for my next thing. I can't get down.
Oh, you got your monitor and you
Yeah,
got the
they're
monitor
little bit.
lined up. I had that.
This, I believe, you need After Effects, so now I have to
Okay.
learn After Effects. But I think that there's actually some other things that you can. Oh, I don't have anything to preview.
You have to use the classless version. Sorry, I just found that.
Yeah, it's just like a. I don't know. It takes all of your animations and turns them into a JSON. So like it's incredibly light.
Yeah, I think I used this one in the React package, NPM package or something like this. But the animation is about the security we didn't use.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some animation. Just used normal picture
Interesting.
instead.
Yeah, this was developed by Airbnb.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It looks better. It looks nice, but it looks better.
Yeah. But I guess like you could export, like I have, like because I'm lazy and I don't know how to use anything else, like I've created a bunch of images and just exported them and put them on my website. But I'm not sure, like I think like designers would do that for their portfolio. I think there's probably more lightweight ways of doing things.
And do you use Figma community?
Yes, yeah, I do. I post stuff sometimes. I made a really good table once, because I do tables a lot for work, and I had a really hard time finding a table that was completely responsive. But I think, but the most, honestly, I learned from Figma was like on Twitter. Like I just followed people's work at Twitter, or work at Figma, and I learned so much. Yeah, well, like, even like this morning, I was on Twitter, and I saw someone make this in like under 10 seconds, and I was like, can I make that in under a minute? And like, it's not perfect, but.
So is it like making the curves or something?
Also,
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, like that was under a minute, and
Love it.
yeah, and so that is something you could sort of export. Yeah, not perfect, but.
Man, the design goes deep, doesn't it? Do you have like a art background? Like
No, I can't draw to save my
oh,
life.
okay.
Yeah,
I wondered.
I try to. This is a really fun one. I try to sketch a lot more because a lot of people want that in your portfolio.
No, that's good.
okay.
That's fun. Are they? Is the top intentionally like a 3, or is it just the way you drew it?
That's just true.
I thought it was one of those puzzles where it's like
No.
all the numbers are in there somewhere. That's fun.
Oh God, if that was a wind doctor.
Yeah, my dad's like an engineer, but he's from the area where they had to do a lot of drafting kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
it's like he's like surprisingly good at drawing.
That's cool.
I'm always surprised. Like,
I'm really bad. Like a lot of people really want to see in your portfolio, like your sketch work. So I always try to, just for the sake of practice, but I don't like it when I'm not good at it. I'm much faster online.
do you want to see?
Yeah, let's see it.
So again, I haven't done it yet. I've just added in the basic. but already a bit better, and it's all there. So it's like if we're getting, this is all kind of just what I knocked up a couple of days ago. So okay, yeah, fine. The forms look way better already. That's much easier. I guess if you use it on mobile, that's already going to be way easier to use. Yeah, good enough for an MVP. Hopefully, I can check it still works. In fact, let me run the test suite. Should be fine. Cool. Yeah, let's see if the tests still run. No, definitely. What next? Do you have any dev-related stuff you want to talk about? Should I throw a topic out? I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing I've been thinking about recently, and the code here is not important, but I've been thinking about Vim and how to get more efficient in how I use editors.
Okay.
So I don't know, do you know Vim? Or do you know of Vim?
Vim.
Vim.
I've heard the
editor.
word.
So basically,
I can't do it.
it's, yeah, some people use it, some people don't. There's many different editors around. I use VS Code, but with Vim inputs. So like, Vim is essentially a way to move and edit things in your code. So like, the home row become arrow keys. But the key idea is it's a modal editor. So you're in normal mode, and you can move around, and there's lots of keyboard shortcuts. So W means jump to the next word, and B is jump back the same way.
That's pretty cool.
And there's loads of special things like, oh, I need to copy and paste this line and do something. Oh, I'm going to delete the word in the middle and then add, you know.
How did you delete the word in the middle?
Yeah, so this is this is the thing I kind of don't know. I have to say it slowly. So I'm doing YY, which Y is short for yank, which means copy, because it's easy to press and you do a lot of copying. P for paste, paste the whole line. W, W, W to get to this word. And then I did DW, which is delete word.
Oh, gotcha.
Or, in
So
fact,
what
I
if you want to delete a string?
So the word boundaries are a bit
Okay.
specific. So it does to like spaces or some special characters.
Okay. Could you delete the entire contents of a div?
Yeah, you can do things like delete to M, which is like, that was just DTM. So delete to a particular character. If you wanted to jump down to a bunch of stuff, you could do, let's just delete that line. So DD is delete line. You could do something like, well, I'm on line 4, delete to line 10. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry. I'm not looking where I'm turning. Delete to line 10. Ah, I'm doing it wrong. I don't use that very often.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Because more local stuff, I mean, there's other modes. So there's visual mode where you press V and you start highlighting things. If you want to do a copy and paste, you can highlight. The basic idea, though, is like your movements work in all the modes.
Right.
So like if I'm pressing word, W, I jump to the next word, whether I'm highlighting or not, or whether I'm doing some other operation or not.
Right.
So delete word or cut word. I think there's a few different ways to get into Vim, and I think the way that really got me into it was get it in an editor that you're already used to.
Right.
So like I'm already used to VS Code, say, add in Vim,
and then you're just like twice as fast.
just do like learn a couple of commands. Don't just like almost treat it the same. So the key thing is like you press I in insert mode. Basically, I'm in a normal editor. There's no special things. I'm just typing. I hit escape, and I'm back into normal mode where I can move up and down.
Sorry, you hit what to get into insert?
Well, there's many ways, but I for insert, just inserts at the cursor. Maybe if I made this bigger.
But what if you want to just write the letter I?
Well, so that's, I'm in normal mode.
Oh.
So it's a modal editor. That's the key idea.
Right.
So O is go to the next line, make a blank line, and enter insert mode, which is something you do all the time, right? So I go, oh, I'm here and I want to write something on the next line, stuff. Or, oh, I'm here, I want to write something on the next line, oh, other stuff. DD, delete line. Dot is just repeat the last command. So you find yourself putting together like chains of commands without really trying to think too hard about it. So you might say, well, I want to get rid of some of this junk. I could do like delete to exactly where I want to go. But instead of that, just do like, oh, well, delete word. I didn't delete everything. Dot, dot. Close enough, yeah.
Okay.
You know, I just press dot a few times until I delete what I want, because you can do that. What else do I use a lot?
Where else does Vim exist?
Everywhere. So it's very old. So like if you go to a command line, basically let's use a 7 or something, and you're like, no, I thought, oh, I can turn this inside. If you like logged into a server and you've got no GUI, Vim will almost certainly be installed. It works on the command line, same thing. So it comes from here, it predates GUI kind of computer.
Interesting.
And so it's really useful because, you know, you can do loads of stuff on pretty much any computer. It's very standardized.
But what about different applications?
What do you mean?
Like, when you're showing me this, it's like, I want that in Illustrator.
But Illustrator, how much text do you write in Illustrator?
I'm on the keyboard constantly.
Well, perhaps it exists.
Yeah.
So, for example, there are Chrome plugins which will let you browse the web in like a Vim style, and it's like very common. So if you search for extensions, Vim plus whatever I want, it might exist. I don't know.
Yeah.
Any code editor will have Vim.
Okay.
And the one thing I would recommend for Vim is there's a Vim cheat sheet which is really good. And don't try and memorize it. This one. So
Cool.
the basic idea of these are the keys moving you around, right? These are the moving around keys. So you've got an operator like, am I deleting something? Am I copying something? Am I changing something? How many times I do it? Oh yeah, you can repeat commands with a number. And then what's my motion? Am I going down a line? Am I going right a character? Am I going right a word?
That's cool.
So I think this idea of like, oh, it's an operation and a movement, operation and a movement. Once you get that into your head, like I don't know any of this stuff really. I never use registers. Probably, yeah, changing modes is kind of important. Search can be very useful. So let's do an example. Okay, I've got like meta there. Let's say I'm like, a variable called meta. I type slash and I type meta, hit enter, and I've searched for it. And I hit N to go to the next one, right? Next one. But probably what we want to do is do some changes to that. Like, meta's the wrong name for this variable, so I can do like CW, change word, puts me in insert mode, and I'll say, maybe it should be escape to get out of that mode. And then it's still got the memory of the search. So I hit N, goes to the next one, and I just hit dot to repeat the last set of commands. And it changes it again. I hit dot, repeat the last set of commands.
But can't you do that faster in VS Code, Randy?
You could totally do it with normal search and replace tools.
Yeah.
Like, but your fingers never leave the home row.
Okay.
So I think there's a certain advantage of, what am I looking for? Comfort.
Okay.
Your fingers are more comfortable. Also, you can do colon is like command, colon S is substitute, and then you can do a regex substitution if you want to.
That's interesting.
But like I'm not an evangelist, so like, you know, and then if you wanted to do that, so like, and then you can repeat the regex substitution on other lines.
That is cool.
And that's, you know, all the power of regex. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think any. It took me a while to switch, and I still don't always use it. But like, there's just certain things that get really comfortable, and it takes a load off your brain, and you're like, oh, I just kind of need to have something there.
Yeah. Like that's one of my big problems now. Like I'm flipping between Figma and Illustrator constantly, and they don't use the same commands. So I'm constantly using Figma commands in Illustrator, vice versa. I'm trying to, if I could.
Is there no way to make one like the other?
I don't know.
Because I would definitely look into that. I know, like when I do video editing, a lot of the video editors will say like, "Oh, you're used to Adobe keyboard shortcuts. You can change all the DaVinci keyboard shortcuts to be like Adobe," which is very helpful. So that I only work in one way. It's pretty worth finding.
That is a good idea. I honestly never thought of that. I was like, "Wow, life is just hard."
Yeah, because I think the efficiency gains kind of compound. Because your brain isn't stuck thinking about it. It's like learning to touch type, isn't it?
I can't touch type.
Learn to touch type.
I'm the slowest typer.
You would learn in less than a month, I guarantee it.
How?
I learned with Typing of the Dead. Do you know Typing of the Dead?
No.
I mean, you don't have to learn Typing of the Dead, but honestly, it's such a silly thing.
No, that wasn't a no. Like no, it was like a,
I know,
I'm so afraid of touch typing. I don't.
Basically,
want that.
zombies
I don't
walk
want
towards
that.
you and you shoot them by typing. And it was a Dreamcast game. I was like a kid in high school.
I want
It's
like
so
the
dumb,
fluffy, cute version of that.
I mean, there's probably like
kittens come at you when
there's
you
probably
type.
something like AKB, fluffy, cute cat lamb teaches you typing, but
Yeah.
you need very little. So like you use a keyboard every day, right?
Yeah.
You already know where all the keys are. Your
Yeah.
brain will like just go, oh, I got it after a few weeks. It honestly took me. I did about 30 minutes a day, and by the end of the month, I never needed to learn. That was all it took.
Okay.
And you just have to train yourself to be like, okay, I'm just going to spend 30 minutes. I'm not going to look. I'm going to work at it. And
Do you think it's worth
absolutely not for speed? Not for speed. It's worth it
to
for
turn your
not
brain off?
thinking about it. And I'm pretty bad at typing the characters. I use a Japanese layout, which freaks people out, but I just like the extra keys.
I don't understand what the difference is.
So yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll try to.
Oh, yeah. I also know how to type Dvorak, but very slowly.
I don't know what that is.
The keys are all in a different place. But I can't remember where Y is at the moment. Where's Y gone? Oh, never mind.
I think that, yeah, maybe I wouldn't be too bad, because I flip between French keyboard and English.
Oh, Azerty. No, I can't remember. No, I've forgotten how to type Dvorak. While C. So my brain cannot handle. Oh, yeah, that's rubbish. Yeah, don't learn Dvorak. It's not worth it. Like in university, I was like a bit interested in kind of becoming a faster typist, and I think it's probably not worth it. Now I can type normally. You know, I'm not like a super fast typist.
I'm a really, really slow typer.
But it's like worth it just for being like, well, I don't have to think about stuff while I'm
That's a good point.
doing things. I can
I
chat
think
to
like
you.
one of my problems is I'm such a, like, if I spell something wrong, I can't let it go and I have to go fix it, so it takes me a long time to write anything.
Yeah, like,
Oh, you're really good.
I think with a non-laptop keyboard, I can do about 110 on a good day.
That's crazy.
But I did wonder about learning steno.
I don't know what that is.
It's what they use in court reporters. It's a
Ooh,
corded
yeah.
keyboard, and it's again another pointless skill. But you can type 300 words per minute,
Oh my god.
but only like English words, not like symbols. and
Wow,
stuff.
very cool.
You type like this.
Crazy,
It's like pen
crazy.
piano. Is that a real one? I don't know. You can make your own. Buy a bunch of switches.
Yeah. I do want to get, like, what's it called? The trendy cool
Like a
keyboards.
split keyboard.
No, I don't want that. I want the cool ones.
There's like a
Look
keyboard
up
building
cool,
group
Look
here.
up cool keyboard.
Look up cool keyboard. I hope I get normal stuff.
Cool keyboard.
Like just a light up one.
No, there's a specific name for it.
Ortholinear?
No.
I want one of those.
Cool trendy.
Thinking of any more than that. People say this is much better to have the keys in straight lines.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if it helps or not, but it's going to be easier for typing.
Interesting. Mechanical keyboard, I think that's what I'm
Yeah?
thinking
Oh, I mean, yeah, so many cool mechanical keyboards. They have a bunch of them at, like, the big, the place in Hakata, like, not Big Camera, the other one, the West Camera.
Oh,
If
really?
you want to try them out. But
I've
there's-
never tried one out. Do you like them?
I'm fairly neutral, like, they're nice, but, like, I'm not a maniac fan.
What do you think is better?
What, like, one of these or not one of these?
In terms of like,
I think there's a lot of personal preference.
yeah, you're
I
right.
think,
But like in
you know,
terms of
some
like,
people like hard keys, some people like soft keys.
yeah, like
some
a nice
people like a lot of
typing
travel.
experience.
I think, I think you're going to get a better typing experience with mechanical keys. However, how much do you care? Like, I just personally don't care that much about.
I don't care that much.
But like, you know, a laptop keyboard is not great, right? It's a bit thin and it's a bit.
I truly love laptop keyboards, to be honest.
Really?
But I wonder, I've heard so much about like how external keyboards are better for your wrists.
Yeah, when it comes to wrists, I think like ortholinear helps. I also think split helps a lot.
I don't think I can mentally do that.
I think touch typing would help, but like, you know, because if you think about it, especially someone like me, kind of, my arms are here, but I'm trying to get here.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
just do this
not
all the
good,
time, yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah, I
do
guess,
sometimes
yeah.
get wrist pain. The other thing is moving keyboard shortcuts around. Like Vim has escape, right? Escape is miles away from the keys.
Yeah.
So I swap. Escape is control on this, and that. Which one is it? Hang on. Caps lock is control.
Okay.
So, which is kind of confusing. So control has gone down here and escape's come down here,
That makes sense though.
which is way easier. Because if you're on a Mac, it's just Command C.
Yeah.
But if you ever use a control,
Well, like,
it uses caps
yeah.
lock now.
Because like for a bunch of the commands that I use for Bezier tools, like I literally like I use this part of the touchpad, and then my hands are not long enough, so like I do this every time, so I can get
What
the.
button are you going for? Oh, hang on. Are you left-handed?
No.
I don't know what you're doing.
Because I use my computer like an idiot. Like I will be controlling the handle. I'll be controlling the handle here, and then I'll lock in. And
Okay.
I know I need to start using a mouse. Like,
I mean, yeah. I would definitely investigate changing the setup in terms of like using a mouse, using different keys, using anything that might help you.
yeah,
'Cause
I don't know how. I'm trying so hard. Like I bring a mouse with me every single time, but I can't.
I mean, I'm not a big mouse user. I try and use a keyboard a lot. But like, I think don't underestimate how bad it is for your body to do a lot of these kind of bad motions, especially when you start repeating it.
Well, yeah, especially like when like all I'm going to be doing next week is handling
Yeah.
Beziers. You know?
I mean, I don't know, maybe like weird setups can be good sometimes, like a foot pedal to
Yeah.
hold down your Bezier curve or
Yeah.
other stuff like that. If it helps,
Yeah, I
you know,
need,
and
I
it
need to
works,
think of a solution.
it's not a bad idea.
Because yeah, like if I go too hard on Illustrator for like a week, like I need like a research week afterwards so I can give my wrist a break.
And taking breaks and all that kind of good stuff.
That's brutal. Getting massages, I found a really good masseuse.
Or you have to recommend it.
Oh my gosh, he's the
It's so
best.
tense all the time.
Oh yeah, this guy that I went to, he specializes in like tech or like people who sit at their computer too
Oh
much.
man, I need that.
So he does like eye stuff for eye strain.
I feel like I need my jaw.
he does
'cause
exactly
I'm like,
that.
I'm tense, you know. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Argh," and I can tell. And I think maybe I grind my teeth at
Yeah,
night or
like
something.
he does like the top of your
Oh,
cheekbones
man.
and the bottom.
Seriously, can you
Yeah,
send me
for
his
sure.
details?
Yeah.
I will get involved.
Yeah,
Because my
yeah.
doctor mentioned it. I'm like, oh god.
It's very important. So do you work in the office or at home?
At home.
Do you like it?
Get crazy.
Do you have a family?
Yes. Yeah.
Kids?
Kids, yes.
Hard work. Hard work. Hey. Yeah, just come in, just come in. We got you a computer.
Thank you. Small ですけど。すごい。iPhone ね。あ、やっぱ Linux か。
マイクロ SD カード持ってる？いいよ。there's one in there. まあ次なんか用意したら、まあキーチェーンだけ持ってきたらすぐ挿して。Why am I talking Japanese? You can just put it in and then like use it. So.
I was thinking just for today, I just use cloud stuff.
Yeah. Go for it.
Today.
Go for it. Yeah.
Future,
Sure. It's just an
Thank
idea,
you.
whichever works.
Yeah. So I don't have to install OS. It's already.
I think it's all there. 全部入ってな OS とか全部
入ってますね。
入ってる。
セットアップ。
どうぞ。ご自由に。How's it going? We haven't spoken much Japanese today. Korean, I haven't heard you speak Japanese.
I refuse to do that.
What's that mean?
Thank you so much.
ありがとうございます。
I'm just the worst Japanese speaker.
Brilliant. Awesome.
So Lisa,
はい。
what do you use in the VS Code? Do you use plugin or something?
Yes, there is a plugin that's very good. What plugin do I use?
Did I miss anything fun so far?
We're all just chatting. Yeah, there's Vim emulation for Vim. I think it's an official code plugin, so yeah. But if you want to, there's like online tutorials to learn Vim as well, and there's so many resources. So just try it. I think it comes installed on Mac. I think it's already installed.
Yeah. Sometimes
I don't use
some Vim
either of those
confused.
either.
Yeah, it's useful to know just the basic colon Q,
Colon
right?
Q.
Colon Q. Everyone needs to remember colon
Yeah,
Q.
I like to mess around back-end code, but I like to use browser tools. So
Okay,
it's
like
kind of
what?
backwards.
Yeah. Like what kind of browser tools?
I've really been using Replit a lot. Do you know?
No. It sounds a little familiar.
It's like code in your browsers. They've got tons of languages, haven't they? This
So
one.
when you load it up,
Just check the stream. I wonder what the audio quality is like on. No one's talking.
you're recording?
We're just streaming it, just to see.
Do you want to educate everybody, including myself, about how to get
Oh, I can hear my
the
own
symbol
voice. That's good.
on like Japanese keyboard?
Oh.
See ads, but like,
What is the problem? At is somewhere over here, isn't it?
I thought it was one on. I thought it was around here.
I like your method.
That is a good method.
I could have sworn it was
I'm confused.
I thought it was over there. It's not beside the P.
The at.
over there.
Control is not the right place on the keyboard.
Somebody Vim cheated it.
Jesus. But yeah, we should probably just check the keyboard setup. practice it, we'll get the right keyboard. This is an American keyboard.
Yes.
What is it going to be under? English US? Very English. Okay. Does it work?
You're a pro. Thank you, sir.
All right.
There's no Vim plugin.
Well, I think it's a bit of a programmer thing.
Well,
I don't know what you could do.
Vim plugin for
What do you look for Adobe?
yeah.
Adobe
They've
what?
got it for Illustrator.
Adobe Illustrator.
But they've got it for
They've got it for what?
I don't know.
For Figma.
No, but I'm on the trackpad constantly on Figma.
Yeah, again, it's mainly a text tool, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, because I'm always using command shortcuts, but there's so many things that I wish I could I wish that there was more keyboard shortcuts.
Surely those tools have a lot of keyboard shortcuts in them.
But not enough. So how are you guys doing develop, handoff now?
Mainly, if we need get some job to implement some homepage or something I order to the designer. But we are a startup company and we make just from coding, we just design.
So you start with like the code and then you do the design after.
Yeah.
We're a startup too.
Yeah.
Do you have any full-time designers?
No, just one time I use some CloudWorks or
Okay. Yeah. I think it's like a common pattern. I think, a couple of tech guys making something, maybe they're not really designers. Maybe I have a question for you. Like, what should we do to make it easier for you? Listen, but like in the example of like maybe
listen and execute.
I'm going on like Upwork or something. I've made my site somehow.
Yeah, I think
Is it already too late?
I think like that's like the big, like one of the biggest talking points with startups now is like when to hire designers, and everyone's like in the beginning like hire developers and designers at the same time, because like to go back and it's sort of the same as like if I were to design something completely in Figma without ever consulting a developer, and then like what I've done is just structurally impossible. It's like, okay, well we have to go back and redo it from scratch.
Right.
It's the same thing, but from the opposite perspective. But just being, I don't know, I guess the normal stuff, being upfront about needs and stuff, and being flexible.
Yeah, like.
And just not being married to like old. Like we've always done it this way, so let's just keep it. Like this button's always been. Like we have in one of our platforms that was designed by 2 engineers. There's 17 different add buttons. Like there's no reason to have more than one. Like, and like every time I try to change it, like it's always like, but it's always been that way, and that makes it really not very interesting or fun.
Do you think that because design is so hard to quantify, like it's really it's hard to put numbers to it? Do you think because it's so hard to put numbers to it, people just automatically make that number 0?
Yeah.
Like they just think it's not important enough?
I think that it's not important enough, and like my tech lead the other day said that he thought design was only opinion based, and it's just like whoever like had the biggest voice got their argument. But like the key with design, like for me, like you can quantify design because you do testing and you run Google Analytics and you make data-driven decisions for all your design decisions. And like you can't always do that. Sometimes you have to make a decision, then get the data to okay, fucked that up, gotta go do it again. But like it should never not be a numbers game. But people are lazy; they don't want to do something.
Yeah. It sounds like there's probably a lot of people like myself who aren't aware of how quantifiable it is.
Yeah, and there's things like opinions.
No, it's good. I mean, I can definitely see the value, but for me, it's hard to nail it down. You know, it is like a cloudy kind of value. But for you, it doesn't seem like it's so cloudy. Like it's very.
I think it's still like it is like there is some like cloudy parts for sure, and like I obviously have personal preferences that like I want to push. Like I hate all pop-ups, but like we're going to be implementing something that like we just like technically we can't get around it. Like our the query that we're going to run will just crash everything unless it's in a modal. Okay, fine. But I don't know. I think I'm really boring because like I just aim for consistency over pretty much anything else. So it's not.
But I feel like that's such an important user experience.
Yeah, because like we've got two main platforms. One is selling stuff. One is settings for our internal team. And so it's like completely different use cases. Like on one we want people to spend the most time possible. On the other we want them to spend the least time possible. So it's like, really interesting to work on both. But yeah, like it's always I don't know, maybe it's not that murky. Because I understand, I do a lot of user surveys and I understand like how our team wants to run settings for our external project. It is murkier for sure because I don't have access to them.
It was really like refreshing talking to someone who knows this stuff better than me.
It's been good, yeah. It's been really good being able to talk to some very different perspectives around the table, which is
But yeah, what would make life easier for developers? What would you want from your designers, other than like these beautiful things that I've already created?
Yeah, I mean, those examples are great. You should take a look at them. Like, in general, when I look at teams, it's like getting people the information they need at the right time. I think giving the developers that data and showing them the importance of design is good and is convincing. Obviously, developers are lazy, famously, and those kind of, here's a React component, use it, it's great. What I see is like, I always want to see kind of more abstraction in my design, and I think that's the same thing, right? You saying, hey, we've got 17 buttons, this is ridiculous. And developers kind of want abstraction. Maybe we use different words for it, but we kind of want the same thing.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't know how to get it in terms of design.
Yeah.
So
instead they're recreating the wheel every single time.
Right.
They've recreated, I'm not, like without exaggeration, they've recreated a table 57 times.
Yeah, and in general, developers don't want to do that.
I know,
right?
it's a communication issue.
So I would say, probably we want the same things, but we might use quite different words for the same things.
Yeah, it's hard to get on the same page.
Yeah.
In your guys' companies, like, or people, you know, like, there's obviously like a QA for the code, but is there a design QA ever?
Well, a lot of the work I've been doing recently is not web development at all, so it's like there's no visual aspect. Well, there is a visual aspect, but it's manual. But I don't know, do you have quality assurance QA for, do you have QA for code?
Yeah, code also design.
But do you have it for code, and do you have it for design?
What do you
QA, quality assurance? Do you have, like, what quality assurance do you do for code?
I need testing.
Do you know? I mean, probably in a small startup, it's like, hey, I made a pull request. What do you think? Looks good to me. I mean, no offense, but like,
Yeah. Well, that's how it is for us.
That's how it is for a lot of
Yeah.
small groups of people, and that's not unusual. I think when it gets to a bigger, bigger companies, you get QA teams.
Yeah.
But we're just talking about the idea how like QA teams for code is pretty well established, right?
Yeah.
People know about that. But maybe QA for design is not so common.
確かに。
I don't know what is the boundaries of design, so I don't know if what I'm about to say is relevant, but a few years back I had a job as the user acceptance tester manager, so I always had to bring a bunch of users in to try out a bunch of code, kind of like beta testers, I guess, and collect out all their feedback. I suppose they were testing everything from design to functionality, you know. That's interesting.
Yeah, that would be cool. We're having like a fight in our team right now. The devs think that they QA design. I think that the users QA design. Because then it's just personal preferences. But it's hard to get people to... I think if with design, it's like so many more like soft skills, as well as data. But I think people think that it can be a lot more flexible than it really is. So it's hard to convince people of stuff all the time. And it's fun.
So what I'm picking up, I've been here a few minutes, what I'm picking up is like a lot of like opening the channels of communication.
It's kind of a theme for today, a little bit, right? A little bit.
But this is what I was showing them earlier. This is my design system. This is my design system for all of our platform.
Nice.
And so I have it all in Figma in here. And then I have it in here. Like, for example, like, this is like all the instances of every buttons that we'll ever have. This is the code that's involved in all of it. And the use cases for all of it. So like I put stuff like that together for the developers.
That's great. Aside from just being in one place to browse, does it also make it easier when you want to implement something?
Yeah, it's just copy paste for them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I've got it completely on one platform now, and like we're trying to do it on the other platform. But the other platform is the one that uses the Django, which is like no fun.
They don't play together.
They don't play at all. Yeah, this is like pretty much only for.
I don't know.
Chromatic and zero header for React.
I mean, I don't know how into Django you are, but I've been spending a couple of weeks getting quite into Django.
What do you like about it?
I like the money that people pay me to do.
Fair.
So, no, I'm not, like, I come from Rails, Ruby on Rails, and Rails is also very opinionated. And it's like a Rails way of doing things. And I think that's good in general, because it means when you're writing like lots of CRUD kind of code, very simple kind of database ideas, like it just kind of works and it gets out of your way because it's the same way every time. And obviously it's extensible and you can add extra things, but the basics are easy. And I think Django is more or less the same.
Okay.
The way of doing things is different, slightly, but the idea is the same. Like, we do things the same way, or we have some kind of very, very, not strict, but what's the word? Like, the best practices are fairly fixed.
Right.
So that, the thing you're doing 100 times is pretty easy.
Right.
So, probably the downside for modern stuff is they're very much, server rendered HTML was kind of the main idea of how they're put together when they started.
Yeah.
We're going to generate some HTML pages, and you're going to click through, and there's going to be forms and pages and data in those pages based on database objects. And when you're doing that, it's great, right? I mean, Django recently, and one of the reasons it's nice is obviously you've got the Python ecosystem. It's easy to hook that in together. It's just well supported and it's quite mature. There's a little bit of, you know, it's Python, so it's like not statically typed or anything. And I think in general, some people have been comparing it to Elixir and like Phoenix and these other kind of much more strongly typed. You feel like you're a bit in cowboy land, and you've got to prepare yourself. You know, you've got to have some good test cases, and you've got to be strict about how you write the code because it's not going to stop you from shooting yourself in the foot.
Okay.
So I can recommend a couple of books if you're interested in getting into it. If you want to actually make a little Django project to get into it, then the official tutorial is like very brief and not extensive, but good enough to kind of see what all the moving parts are.
I really should use that.
Like, you could probably complete the tutorial over the course of a couple of weekends.
Okay.
Although, you wouldn't learn enough to be like productive in Django.
I don't want to be productive.
Sure, but it would show you. It shows you what the moving parts are.
Yeah. I just want to know enough to be able to design around it, because now I can go through things in like 5 minutes with my React developer, but with the Django guys, like it just like it's always like a 3-hour meeting to do like a simple thing.
Okay. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think it might be beneficial to go through that.
Yeah.
And then take a look. The official documentation has the way it's organized is like there's the intro tutorial, which is very, very brief, and then there's all these other topic-based pages. So maybe you would be looking at how does Django handle static files? That's probably going to be very relevant for you. Or Django templating if you're using that.
Yes.
Looking at those specific pages is probably going to be really helpful.
Okay. So you can send it again.
Probably ignore.
Is it just like the main documentation?
Yeah. I think they just released version 4, but most people. I'm on version 3.2 at the moment still.
Can I do it in French? It looks like I'm doing it in French.
You're not allowed to ask me questions in French. Yeah, so the tutorial, again, it's not that deep, but it gives you a basic idea of what's going on.
Oh, that's so interesting. The nav bar is in English and the rest is in French.
That sounds bad.
It sounds like to Django.
But yeah, it's nice to get a picture of the whole thing. You know, okay, I've got my database, I've got my ORM for Django, and I've got my models, and this. Just kind of get a little idea of how the data is flowing through the app. It's quite nice.
I can't stand their website. I can't even open my plugins on it.
Well, you can download the documentation and reformat the HTML if you want, or there's a PDF. I mean, I'm not that fussy.
I'm quite fussy.
The only thing that annoys me is I use the custom zoom on the browser, and then I keep zooming and I have it big, and then the language documentation version just takes up the whole screen.
I know, I just broke it.
But anyway, yeah. But if you want to go through that and ask a bunch of questions this time or next time, please do. It's kind of fresh in my mind. I'm trying to think what was annoying about it. So the way this is just Django, and I think there are a lot of best practices on top of this. I was talking to someone who had a lot more Django experience than me, and they said don't use this library for your testing. It's much faster, much better, easier to write on.
Right.
Although I don't use this for your static files, no one does it like that anymore. And so one book that's quite good is 2 Scoops of Django, which is like more of a kind of, don't read the whole book, but just dip into it.
Yeah.
It has different topics, best practices, and a bunch of other stuff. It's quite detailed. But again, there's probably more, it's more aimed at developers, right? But there's probably a few sections, like JavaScript and Django, it's got a lot of good, very practical stuff about trade-offs. Yeah, ways of doing forms. I mean,
Yeah, forms is
things like that.
forms.
I mean, if your developers don't know about a book like this, Christmas present, because it might make your life easier in the long run, right? But they probably do, I don't know.
Oh, I'm trying to get off that platform a tiny bit.
Well, yeah.
That is honestly the cutest name I've ever heard.
Two Scoops of Django.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'm happy I made a tiny bit of progress on this in terms of actually getting form, actually getting.
Yeah, like it really looks a lot different.
Fine, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd probably, I don't know what I was playing, maybe do a little table with these instead of just a list.
I would do little cards.
But I've just been looking at so this link actually works. Oh, it did work before. Maybe my Vim example, I typed in this file and TTS27, okay. But I've realized that my plan was to make these huge long files of SSML for voice generation.
Right.
But then looking at the quotas, like the rules on Google's version, you're only allowed like a certain number of characters in the request, and you can't make like 10 minute, 15 minute long files. Annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's designed for like phone answering systems. Where you just
Right.
gotta choose the next option, please. Or, one sentence. So maybe I will do something else. Maybe I will do like voice generation with a different Python library. Maybe I will download each sound separately and then join them together myself, which is doable.
You're doing text to speech?
Yeah. So the idea is this is flashcards but text to speech. Just a little. So you add a card here and then you get it in your podcast feed is the idea. So every day you get a quick selection from the words you've been learning it doesn't have to be language learning, it could be doctors reviewing medical stuff in med school or lawyers reviewing all the LSAT type tests or whatever.
Did you say you're using like a external API for that? Or?
So the text to speech, I was planning on using the Google API, and if you want to have a sample, like it's quite good. The voices just get better and better. Let me just fix whatever bug I had. Oh yeah, there's just a C on the line for no reason. Okay. But I'll show you the problem I was having earlier, if you want. Where's it gone?
Now I want to get a keyboard.
There is a group who does keyboards, right?
Are they active?
I don't know when the last one they did was, but maybe I'll just find it. Yeah, so I was making audio files and it gives you stuff like this.
Less than speed greater than dog, less than break time equals 2000 milliseconds
So
greater.
it's reading out the code rather than converting the code into speech properly.
Right.
So it's doing like less than speak, greater than
That's
dog,
funny.
less than break time.
Less than speed greater than dog, less than break time equals 2000 milliseconds greater than cat, less than break time equals 4.
So that's some kind of bug that I don't really understand. So there must be a flag in the API that I'm missing, but I've searched and it seems to be setting up following their example. So maybe their example is out of date or something, but never mind. But
That's interesting.
but if that's done, then that's the audio generation, at least for small things, which I
Yeah.
can kind of use as a little test. And then the next thing I need to do is make the RSS feed for the podcast, which is relatively straightforward, I assume. And then it kind of, that should work, right? You could just subscribe your whatever podcast app you have to the feed, hook it up, boom.
That's cool.
It's a bit of fun.
So this is going to be in all languages.
Well, the idea is all languages supported by Google Text-to-Speech. I haven't quite, I want to make this and try it out and mess around with the timings of like the questions and answers and what it plays to you. But also the kind of the setup of these decks is not decided. Like is it all one language, all another language, or is it just going to be like, how are you going to do those settings? But there's just a little bit of. I think for language learners, it's probably. Pardon?
Put them in little cards.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think this makes more sense as some kind of table rather than, you know, with just a few buttons or something. Oh, delete this one, delete that one, delete that one.
Yeah.
Maybe show you how difficult it is.
Yeah.
Have like a little difficulty slider.
Yeah.
Because, so if you've ever used like an SRS software, flashcard software, Anki, all that stuff, like you click easy, difficult, easy, difficult. But you can't do that if it's a podcast.
Right.
So I was thinking, how do you handle that? And I was just going to handle the fact that, like, okay, you just assume that if they've listened to the podcast, they've practiced it a bit, and then make it easier, and then record like the date they add new words.
Okay.
So, and assume they're getting, and then give like a little manual override, like, oh man, this one keeps kicking my ass, I'm going to make it harder. This one keeps kicking my ass, I'm going to make it easier.
I would use this.
That was the idea. I'm hoping to get in. Well, one of the reasons I'm making this is because I've run out of things to talk about on my podcast. And we were talking about my co-host's project for ages, and she got really busy with work. And now she has to go to France. And it's like, Laurie, we've run out of stuff to talk about. And we did a book review, and that just took loads of time because we had to read the book. So this is the next thing I'm going to talk about and hopefully just release it.
Well, I would like it.
And I thought, like, a bit of differentiation, do like a free version with text-to-speech, paid version, yeah, I just read out your cards. You know?
Seems like a Patreon subscriber thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm worried someone will make me read something really weird.
No.
If I do that. You know?
That's really
we're
cool,
in a
though.
fancy restaurant. I go down on one knee. Oh my God. Yeah. But I thought this was like a fun little combination of a few different bits of tech.
Yeah.
And it's also going to be a bit of a portfolio piece to apply for another job I'm interested in next year. When it gets tidied up and a bit done fancier.
So if you want help making it stylishly fancy, like
I might pass a few things your way, or like mess around with Figma and try and do some prototypes like you showed me.
Well, because if you're using something like, what's it called again? Pico?
Pico CSS.
Let me, like, they might even have a UI kit built in Figma already.
Oh, it could do. Is it hard to make one of those? Ooh, it's 9 o'clock. I guess that's our official end time. Obviously, this place is open until 10, so feel free to stay and study and hang out. I might go home in a bit. I might go to the gym.
Oh my god, I don't know how you could do that now.
Yeah, but like just do a little bit, you know, just do like 20 minutes. Get the pump on.
I walked here, and that was like enough for today.
Gotta do a little bit of exercise. Keep your body going. I'm getting old, that's the problem.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming and sharing your
Yeah, thank
expertise.
you.
on it.
I don't know what's up.
Thank you.
I don't know what the plan is in terms of scheduling more of these, but it's
In the
quite
new-
nice,
Yeah.
chilled out event, so I'm up for doing more.
Yeah, I'd be up for doing it in the new year.
There was, she already sent her apologies that she couldn't come, but she was signed up on the Compass page, but I think she might come to the next one.
Marissa said that she'd love to join, but she's getting ready to go back to America this week, so.
Who's that, sorry?
Oh no, no, she didn't come. She was going to come to the.
Oh,
last
maybe I
one.
missed
She's a designer.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Another designer.
It's the engineer cafe.
I'm well aware. I'm reminded of it.
No, you're very welcome.
I'm not
It's
welcome
been,
here.
It's been very good.
Always
Yeah.
the only non-engineer.
Awesome stuff. It's always good to see things. Oh, can I have one quick question? Like, okay, I do have Figma installed. No, maybe not. Oh, did I install it on Windows? Oh, it's a browser thing.
Yeah, you can do it from Windows as well.
So I want to make a laser cut business card,
Yes.
out of wood to annoy people. So this is my attempt at making a Figma business card.
Nice.
And
Cool guy,
your
nice
credentials.
hair.
this is how I get on my work.
Yeah.
Where do I go from here?
What's your question?
So I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. So like, in terms of both design and in terms of using Figma, like, stuff is lined up, left here. That seems nice.
That's good.
How would I like go about making more stuff like that? I don't know. So that is telling me that it's lined up. And what if I want like 3 things equally spaced?
Ooh, okay. So if you want 3 things equal space, then you could just shift tab. Shift click on all the 3 things that you want. So you got one guy. Oh, sorry. I don't know how to explain a single thing.
I think shift option.
No, it's just shift click. Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. So you've got everybody, and now you go up here
And these are
into
like.
the hamburger.
Ooh.
Oh, so that means that you didn't get cool guy.
So what did I select instead?
No, it looks like you've got everybody. So now go into the hamburger.
Hamburger.
And then there's just vertical, horizontal. Oh, so that likely means that, can you click into only cool guy?
Great. Oh, I messed up the size of
So,
this.
yeah. So you can control that in here. Or you can control it, you can type in or whatever.
So I probably want it to be the same as that, so let's make it 42.
Yeah, so now your width is like this on this. And for nice hair, maybe it's hugging the top.
Is there a way to make it hug?
If you put it in auto, select all 3 of them again.
Okay. Why can't I select it?
Yeah, and then shift click, and then shift click. And then if you go, sorry, I was like, so shift click and then make a group.
Okay, make a group. Let's do group selection.
Command G, yeah.
Okay.
And then add auto layout.
Yeah.
And then from there, auto layout is your best friend. So you can have them going down, you can have them going across.
Ooh. Oh, and that's because this one is long, so.
And so these, not hug contours, I think something's.
Oh, this one is too big, right?
Yeah, so you're going to have to just knock that one down. And you can put that guy next.
So now they're in a group. What do I want to select? And now they're like that, and if I do auto layout. Nice, that's cool.
Yeah, I think like auto layout is one of the best things to learn straight away.
Oh, look at that.
And then if you go into this little box guy,
This one.
yeah, and go into here, this is justify content.
Ah. Why? Okay. Okay.
And then you can change their spacing. Yes, it's on auto.
Okay,
And so then if you like Command D on one of them.
Select it and then Command D.
Yeah, select then Command D.
Duplicate.
Yeah. Oh, did it? Oh, sorry. Click into like only cool guy. And now Command D. Oh, that's interesting.
It's a group, I guess.
It should only do the one.
Oh, that's
Something's
only-
off with the spacing, I guess. Oh, it's because it's on top of each other, that's why.
Oh, that's
So, yeah,
cool.
do it again.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So it
like
makes this with 2 of each.
like
makes
if you
an
go
extra.
only into cool guy,
So I would, yeah.
and then Control D,
Control D.
yeah, or Command D.
Oh, which one?
Command.
Command D.
Sorry, I don't know how to. It's on this, and then you can like just like add things immediately. Command D.
I have to play around with it.
Yeah, but I think auto layout is your best friend. A general rule for if you're doing stuff with text is to go font sizes by 8s.
Okay.
Maximum, for something like this, maximum 2 fonts, maximum 3 fonts, maximum 2 fonts, and maximum 3 font sizes.
Yeah, okay. I'll have a play around with that.
But I would, speaking only from personal experience with someone who's tried to convert Figma to Illustrator, it's a nightmare. So if it's at all possible for you to start in Illustrator.
Oh, you think it'll be easier?
I don't know, I struggle so much
The
about
key
computer
thing, and
illustrations.
I'm going to make something very minimalistic, which is essentially just like a QR code, a name, maybe a link. That's probably it, because I want to put it on a wooden thing. I'll have a play with exporting. And how do you export it?
Oh, sorry, export is down here.
Of course it is. Oh yeah. Export, so PNG, JPEG, SVG, PDF.
But you need an AI file.
Can't you open a PNG in Illustrator?
If it converts properly.
Here be dragons. We'll have to play and see what happens. Yeah.
But like, like obviously you give it Illustrator downstairs. Like,
I'll give it a try one day. Maybe on Friday.
that
Cool.
that sounds like it'd take 2 minutes to do.
In theory. But it's like, I don't know what I don't know about Figma and about design.
But like, yeah,
So it's
if you let
like-
me know like what other things that you're looking for in this business card.
Probably, I need to look at more business cards.
Yeah.
Find out. What my plan was to do was, Alan, who's at Acrococa sometimes, made this thing called Link Speed. It's really, really cool. I really like it. And it's essentially just like a QR code that links to all your accounts,
Oh, okay.
right? And so I was going to put it on like a piece of wood or acrylic and then just be like, find me, come find me.
Oh, isn't that a good idea?
And I thought that'd be fun. Yeah. So
That's a great idea.
go make one, because right now you can get hold of it. Yeah, Link Speed. Oh no, I thought I made it.
I want one. Link speed. What is the actual URL?
Linkspeed.io. Oh no, maybe mine is bugged. Oh no, maybe I just didn't add everything.
Oh, it says it's thanks. Can't get in.
Can't get in. But yeah, I thought it'd be a cool way to do it, and then I don't have to. Then I can just make it once and just update the links online.
Yeah.
Never have to worry about making it again because I hate doing stuff. I think they said they're going to make me an engineer cafe business card.
That'd be cool.
Haven't seen it yet. Again, maybe I haven't really put many things on here, but it just gives you a real simple page with like your name and your social links on it.
Well, yeah, I'm building my portfolio now. I'm wondering how this could differ from a portfolio at different value.
Yeah, I mean, it's just links. So
Yeah,
it's not
okay,
like,
okay.
I mean, you could have a link to your portfolio,
Yeah.
but it's like one simple thing.
Is that another event we could do, is portfolio reviews?
Yeah, I mean, people come and talk about portfolio a lot.
I want someone to rip mine apart and tell me everything.
I think a portfolio review would actually be a really cool event.
I've got thick skin, I can take it. I'd love to do that.
Can you be nice to me? I've not got a thick skin.
No, I'm really mean.
I would swear to ask you then.
I'm good at being quiet if I'm asked to be quiet.
I think, yeah, portfolio review would be a fun thing to do.
If we could do it like in like January, February.
January's looking a bit back, so it might be February.
Let's do
January, there's loads of cool stuff coming.
it. Yeah.
Do you want to do some GPU programming?
No.
It looks like super technical. I'm very scared.
Yeah, I don't like
And laser scanning. We might have a laser scanning of photogrammetry event, which I think the photogrammetry is like be quite doable on your iPhone, and the laser scanner, they said they're going to bring like a industrial laser scanner to scan the building to like
cool.
sub-millimeter level. And I'm like, that
That's really
sounds
cool.
wicked.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
And get like gigabytes of 3D data, and then explain how you go from like laser point cloud to like a 3D model.
That's
Yeah, so
I'd like to go to
I
that.
think it'll be on a weekend,
Okay.
maybe towards the end of January.
Okay.
Just trying to find the date.
That's cool.
Keep it in your town.
But I'd love to do that, and I'd love to do a portfolio with you.
Yeah.
People can be as mean as they want.
If you want to do another one of these in January,
Yeah, no, I would like to.
in fact, let's talk about it now because then I can put it in my calendar. What day?
Mondays are bad.
Wednesdays is good for me.
Wednesdays is good for me.
This time is good, yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
So, how about, I don't know, 19?
19 sounds good.
19 or 12? Maybe 19. Decided. Okay.
19.
We need a better way of doing recurring events.
Yes.
I'll add it to the we need list, which is many and varied. Do you have what you wrote in the list? I could probably find it.
I never actually got any confirmation.
I am the confirmation.
Okay.
So, yeah. That's, sorry, it's not obvious, is it? But I am the confirmation.
Because Amanda did all the other stuff, and so I was like, were you also the confirmation for Amanda?
Yeah.
You got, wow, I would imagine that your list is long and varied.
Yeah, and I think in general when you do something like new, there's the balance between automation and manual. And manual is nice because you get to see what's happening and you're like, oh, we don't need to do it like this. But automation is nice because you don't have to do anything. So we've just started upgrading our kind of check-in system now that we know actually what check-in looks like.
That's good.
So, you know, now we've got a cool app with buttons for all the common actions. And it's
Oh, okay.
the back end is still the same, which is somewhat problematic because
Right.
we're pushing how many, loads and loads of rows on a Google
Yeah.
form. So one Monday we're going to have a big day where it's like, we're switching to a real database, guys. Pull the lever. And we've got to
That would be
live
really
stream
fun.
that because that'd be great fun. But
That'd be funny.
I mean, if it was something, yeah, we should really get like a bunch of test cases, staging server, and have it work like that. But it's probably going to be a bit more seat in the pants.
Yeah. That's part of the fun, I guess. That's what I tell myself at work. It's all part of the fun. But
Cool. Yeah, thanks everyone. Oh, I should stop the stream before stream's an empty room. Okay, everyone watching on the stream? Thank you.
is anyone watching?
Maybe, I think a couple of people are jumping in and out, but I think maybe I will just